Gather close and let me weave you the tale of Hermes, the infant trickster who became Olympus's swift messenger and patron of rogues. In a hidden grotto on Mount Cylon, the nymph Maia cradled her newborn son, who arrived already scheming. Zeus, ever restless, had slipped into her cave 9 months earlier, and now their boy, with twinkling eyes and a mop of curls, yawned for adventure instead of milk. While Maia snoozed, the barely swaddled Hermes wiggled free of his swaddling bands and set off on toddling feet, little winged sandals sprouting magically in his wake. His destination? A herd of cattle belonging to his half-brother Apollo, grazing innocently on a distant slope. Undeterred by his diaper or the sun's height, Hermes devised a cunning plan. He'd walk the cows backward, so their hoofprints misled any pursuer into thinking they'd headed the opposite way. As he herded them, he hummed a lullaby, so sweet that even calves paused to gape, suspecting a toy rather than a baby ruler. When a confused bull stared back, the darling god merely cooed and tapped his rattle, and the animal obediently resumed its reverse march. At the river's edge, Hermes faced his next hurdle: how to ferry a stampede across the water. With only one sandal left, he tossed his other sandal upstream as an offering. Miraculously, it transformed into a sturdy ferry, capable of carrying every cloven-hooved thief. He had invented the first sacrificial footwear, an improvised boat in one swift move, an innovation that would later baffle mortal generals attempting real river crossings. Once the cattle grazed safely in a hidden cave, Hermes realized their muddy tracks still betrayed their route. Wiping milk from his chin, he scooped up a handful of chalky clay, molded it between nimble fingers, and smeared it over each hoofprint, erasing any evidence like the world's tiniest forensic artist. Then he scurried back to Maia's cave, slipping past her expectant gaze as if nothing untoward had occurred. It wasn't long before Apollo, discovering his missing herd, thundered across valleys on horseback. He tracked the spoor of smudged footprints to a cave where, astonishingly, he found his cattle, alongside a cherubic baby attempting to juggle calves. Furious, Apollo demanded their return, but Hermes, only days old, batted his eyes innocently and replied, "Cattle? Oh, dear uncle, I know nothing of them, but perchance you'd care for music?" With theatrical flair, Hermes unveiled a small instrument constructed from a tortoise shell, stretched sheep gut, and a carved wooden bridge, the very first lyre. Strumming a few plinks, he coaxed a melody so enchanting that Apollo forgot his wrath. The sun god clasped the lyre, eyes misty with appreciation, and declared, "I'll trade my herd for that music." And so, Hermes bartered livestock for harmonious strings, proving that even on Olympus, a deal struck by a newborn was binding. Delighted by his ingenuity, Zeus bestowed upon Hermes his signature gear: winged sandals, talaria, to outrun any swift messenger, a winged cap, Petassos, to symbolize his role, and the caduceus, a short staff entwined by two serpents, useful for guiding souls or shooing off unruly spirits. Thus equipped, Hermes embraced multiple duties: herald to the gods, conductor of wayward souls to Hades, protector of travelers, and, most amusingly, patron of thieves, for he understood the art of misdirection better than any. Stories of his pranks abounded. Once he coated a satyr's hooves in honey before inviting him to dance. The poor creature spent hours hopping on one foot until Dionysus himself intervened. On another occasion, Hermes liberated a merchant's golden urns by rolling them down a hill at midnight. When the astonished merchant bawled, "Who took my treasure?" Hermes feigned ignorance, replying, "Perhaps the mountain stole it under moonlight." Mortals never knew whether to thank him or chase him. Beyond mischief, Hermes guided courageous heroes. He whispered cunning advice to Odysseus, disguised him so he might return to Ithaca unseen, and ferried souls gently to the realm of the dead, ensuring no shade lingered too long in limbo. When a doomed commander hesitated at the underworld's gate, Hermes appeared, winked, and steered him onward with a soft word. No harsh reaper required. Despite his roguish spirit, the other gods adored him. Zeus relied on Hermes to dispatch urgent missives, often mid-battle, while Hera chided him for never delivering errands punctually if they involved chores rather than gossip. Athena, ever the strategist, sought his counsel when mortal affairs demanded subtlety. Even Demeter, in her grief, found solace in Hermes' gentle guidance of Persephone back to Earth for part of each year. So ended the days when a diaper-clad baby could outwit a sun god. Hermes matured into a slender, sharp-eyed youth, robes fluttering behind as he darted between Olympus, Earth, and the underworld. Still, his grin retained the mischief of the cave, reminding all that healing footprints, stolen cows, and a bargain struck by a tiny hand were only the beginning of his legend. And thus concludes the tale of Hermes, the child who stole cattle and invented the lyre, the swift messenger who could charm both gods and mortals, and the irrepressible trickster whose trusty staff, bearing twin serpents, symbolized balance between mischief and mercy. Whenever travelers lose their way, shopkeepers haggle over prices, or weary souls wander the dusk between life and death, they pray for Hermes' wink, trusting that the fleet-footed god will guide them home, perhaps with a prank or two along the journey.